Hello, and welcome to a solo edition of Bodied, a Cloud9 Fancast. Your host, Frozencreek, is here this week. Havoc Puss is on a little vacation. We are trading off a little bit here and there over the next couple of weeks. As I said, I'm moving to Los Angeles, so I got that coming up. I got a golf trip, and I got a quick vacation all back to back. Not sure if Havoc knows all about this yet, but he pulled a fast one on me today, so not that I'm trying to get him back, but just in preparation for the next couple weeks being a little bit solo. All right, since it's a solo episode, I'm going to blaze through pretty much everything pretty quickly without Havoc here to bounce ideas off. There isn't much to say, so we're going to start with CSGO. Last week, the CSGO team started playing in the Rubek Cup. They ended up making it to the playoff round thing out of groups, and they ended up finishing top 4. They lost a big 0-2. I didn't get a chance to watch this. I accidentally turned off Twitter notifications so I didn't miss some spoilers on League, and I just haven't turned them back on in a couple of weeks, so I did not know this was happening. I forgot, but not a bad finish from the team, but going out 0-2 to big is never something that we want to look forward to. And pretty much the same on the VALORANT front. They were participating in the Knights Gauntlet Championship playoffs, where they had a couple good wins. They beat TSM Academy, which I'm not quite sure how that worked out. But and then they ended up playing Sonics in the little gauntlet run at the end. And they ended up losing. It looks like we had an Academy sub in for that game too, so I'm going to have to assume that that was part of it. But I don't really have all that much to add on Valorant because I failed to also see that. So a little bit of a blip for the team, but hopefully between possibly the Academy player and figuring out this whole lineup thing post Korean Fusion, hopefully they're back on the right track because we do have some tournaments coming up soon. And speaking of tournaments, just a quick heads up. It looks like C9 White is going to be playing soon, early July. I think it might be next weekend. They had to reschedule a game, so I'm not entirely sure when that is going to be, but it seemed like it might be July 7th. So keep an eye out for that to support our girls. And speaking of supporting our girls, Jazzykins apparently graduated high school, so props to her. I didn't realize she was that young, but holy cow. Still good for her. My sister just graduated high school. She's not a professional Valorant player, though. So props to Jazzykins for doing it all and keeping it together. All right, now we're going to transition over to League of Legends. The Academy team had a really good week. Overall, they ended up going 5-1. They dropped a game to Team Liquid Academy. Overall, it was a really good a redemption week for the team, who finally got King and Destiny back into the lineup, and honestly, they fit in pretty seamlessly. They played a bunch of different champions. We got to see Tristana come out. We got to see some Ari games from Copy and even a LeBlanc, and then we got to see the whole Nard Gangplank, and overall just some fun gameplay overall. It really is crazy seeing how good King seems to be in Academy. I'm not sure what it is that holds him back from the LCS stage, but he popped off. He went 8-0-3 on Tristana. He went 6-3-1 as Ezreal, which is kind of a lot of deaths, I guess. 5-2-6 as Lucian. 7-0-9 as Ezreal. And had a pretty strong game on Sivir. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe Academy just is his level, and he's never gonna quite get above that. But it is nice to see our team together again with Darshan, Shaden, Copy, King, and Destiny. I thought that specifically Shaden and Copy had a really good weekend. Especially against Dig. There were a couple games, or there was a game or two in there where they had every chance to lose the game, but Copy and Shaden were all over the place, picking up kills, hint charms and stuff. Copy ended up going 6-0-2 in the first game, which is pretty insane for an RE. And overall, he had a really strong week. It looks like he had a positive differential in pretty much every game except the Team Liquid Academy game that they actually won might have been his worst game overall. But still, strong weekend for Copy. I wonder if some team is going to actually try and pick him up for an LCS spot at some point. There were the rumors that Cloud9 might try and do it if Jensen didn't work out. I think it would have been fun because I think Copy's a really fun guy to watch. I guess they probably have some intel there saying that maybe he's not quite ready for the LCS stage from maybe a knowledge standpoint or a mechanical standpoint. But I mean, overall, he's been a really solid addition to our academy team. And he's good friends with Blabber, I guess, which is how we got the spot. So he's still a little young. Shaden straight out of solo queue too. So possibly a pretty good partnership forming between the two in academy. Definitely probably some good coaching from Malice and such for Shaden to learn about the professional game and optimizing his gameplay. So a lot to look forward to in Academy the Split as they've been climbing up the standings since they got King and Destiny back. They're sitting tied for 5th right now with Immortals Academy, and I have to imagine that there's every chance they can climb up to, at minimum, top 4 by the end of the split. They are 1 game back from top 4, so I have to imagine that is on the cards. Considering they got 2 games this week, and both of them are against the 3rd place teams who are tied for 3rd. So they play today, Wednesday, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then tomorrow, Thursday, against FlyQuest Academy at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a huge chance to pick up a couple games here, hop up into that 3rd, 4th place realm. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not familiar, they do have the games, I believe, on the LCS channel, plus the Path to LCS channel, which is new for this split, I believe. So if you're missing games, that might be why. So keep an eye out for that. Moving on to LCS, we had 2 wins this week. So Zven is undefeated on support, which is, I guess, as good as you can start out the split, but they were a little bit hairy this week, especially looking at that first game against Dignitas. Our draft in the first game gave us a late game win condition with Kale, but it was kind of offset by Blue's Azir and the Azir wall, which completely countered pretty much all of our picks, including the Wukong and Tahm Kench. So it was a bit of a bizarre game, and it really could have gone either way. And there were points where we were trying to lose that game, but at the end of the day, they tried harder to lose than we did. I think overall it was a really good game from Blabber, who I think Wukong seems like a decent champ for him, and a really good game from Fudge too. I thought the bot lane looked pretty decent. Zven seemed to know what he was doing for the most part, which was encouraging. And it was also helpful to see him farming in his first game. He had more farm than Blabber, and he almost had more farm than Gumpsuit and River too. So that's a good look for him, who probably wasn't farming all that much past the laning phase. I felt like Berserker really wasn't that impactful overall. It didn't feel like it, at least, but I can't seem to find the damage charts, so I'm not entirely sure if I'm just missing something. But I felt like he was a little absent during huge parts of the game. And I feel like if we're gonna talk about being somewhat absent, it felt kind of like Jensen was too. He fell really far behind in CS over the course of the game. Blue was playing really hard to get as much gold as he could, and he ended up outfarming Jensen by 40 CS at the end of the game. But that was a pretty consistent CS lead for Blue throughout most of the mid and late game. I'm not sure if that was just because Cloud9 was trying to defeat Kale. Fudge and ended up with almost 360 CS, which was over 50 more than the next two highest people. So I have to imagine that was somewhat planned, but it just felt like not the entire team was incredibly clean and bought into how they were going to win the game. And it kind of showed based off the fact that we definitely could have lost that game once or twice, and Dig definitely had us in the first half. But at the end of the day, it seemed like Fudge was able to pop off and get his damage out because we were able to turn it around and pick up a dub. The Hunter Thieves game, I feel like was a lot more optimistic, despite the fact that we probably could have lost that game too. The Azir Gwen Senna was going to become an issue pretty much right after the fact we won the game. But I felt like our draft was good, and I felt that we executed it well. Fudge seemed comfortable on these two different champions this weekend. Outside of the solo kill, which was a bit sus. But Blabberbeck and Gragas, always good to see. Jensen got his redemption on Yone and popped off and pressured very, very, very hard this game. I felt like Berserker was incredibly good on Zeri, and Zven, and in his infinite support, Wisdom had a solid game on Lulu too, which great to see. I think the best part of the game was when we were pushing down mid lane at some point later in the game, and Sven went toward or to sweep a bush by Raptors, and he was looking for rewards, and then Closer showed up and then tried to run him down, and with his Shurelias and his W and E, he was able to outrun him. And it's just a little weird to think of the 6'4" behemoth running away as a little Lulu. So that was probably the best part of the weekend overall. But beating 100 Thieves was probably the next best thing. It was pretty funny to see some of the Twitter memes and such. Like 100 Thieves has been together pretty much for 2 years straight. This is Abadaga's the only addition to this team at any point in time. Someday, Closer, FBI, and Hui have been to Worlds together, and Berserker and Sven in their first week in the split and first week playing together, they were able to show off against what some people consider the best bot lane in North America for some reason. But I'm hoping that this is Berserker and Sven's chance to usurp that role. It's just the beginning of what will hopefully be a good split for those two. And now moving on to next weekend, we're entering it tied for 5th with TSM, FlyQuest, and Golden Guardians. We do get an opportunity to play FlyQuest this weekend, which should be good. CLG sitting in 2nd place. And yeah, so CLG sitting in 2nd, and fuck. So moving on to this weekend, we're entering at 5th place, and based off the standings, we do have a pretty difficult schedule going into it. CLG is sitting at 2nd place right now at 4-1, and FlyQuest is tied for us at 5th place right now. So we're looking to try and I guess there's a chance we could be tied for 1st after this weekend, but it's highly doubtful. Getting up to probably 4th, getting to 4 and 3 would be huge. So our schedule for this weekend, we have CLG on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the late game, for better or for worse. And then Sunday we have FlyQuest at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Both teams have definitely overachieved the split. So going in, based off momentum, it's going to be a tough weekend. CLG has lost 1 game to split. I believe it was last weekend too. Let's see. CLG beat EG and lost to FlyQuest. So against each other, they FlyQuest went that way, but CLG is sitting with 4 wins. They beat Evil Geniuses on Sunday, right after we beat 100 Thieves. So definitely some upset potential in there. I still feel like this is a game that we should probably win. Blabber has been playing well. Palafox shouldn't be able to keep up with Jensen. Puman Luger maybe could win the bot lane since Zven is new, but I guess it depends coming out of the draft how we line up that way. But it feels like a game that we probably should win 60% of the time. Maybe that's a little high just based on the fact that CLG is hot, but I can't imagine that they're going to stay this hot for that long. Moving on to FlyQuest. They've had a pretty solid split. They beat CLG last weekend, as I said, but they've also lost a few games, namely to Immortals, who that's their only win and is not a very good loss. But their other losses were legit losses too. I think EG and Team Liquid. So I guess that's acceptable for them. And would be acceptable for pretty much any team. So I feel like this is a winnable game. The top lane is probably our easiest chance to pull through. Philip seems like he's probably a good culture fit and has some potential, but he's been a little sus in lane over these first 2 weeks. Johnson has been good, not great. Takui, good, not great. Ramu's a good leader. So I think that this is a game that we shouldn't lose, but there always feels like that there's that potential considering our role swaps and new additions to the roster for the split. But that's going to do it for this week. I think I went a little bit longer than I meant to. With LCS this weekend, Havoc and I should be back next Wednesday together, I believe. After that, it's going to be a couple weeks without me or in limited capacity. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But signing off for this week, let's get 2 dubs. Bye.